The window of my kitchen directly overlooks the Kippah of the Jew, a dusty circular courtyard that once belonged to an Amazigh Jew. On his deathbed, he gifted it to the townspeople to build a Quranic school. Yet a wicked hand turned it into a square for snake charmers and storytellers. Now it has become a nuisance to the neighborhood. By day, it swarms with elderly card players. By night, it is a haven for drug dealers. The Jew's bones must be rattling in protest at the desecration of his courtyard. If only it was still a refuge for snakes, I often thought to myself. At least we would have silence. I opened the window. No sound, no movement. The only time of day when the aroma of silence and history flows into my home. I had never complained about the bitterness of this scent. Only alcohol cures a hangover, I had learned. So I did just that. I gulped down a brimming glass of cheap whiskey, no ice, no water, and lit my morning cigarette on the doorstep, gazing at the Jew's Square in its primal nudity. Ever since I became a drunkard, dawn cigarettes have stirred me like an unguarded bosom of a naive girl. They sharpen my senses like a predator's. Yes, intoxication has delicate undulations like a trail of incense. Barely 2 minutes had passed and a veil of dust had settled when I lowered my gaze, overwhelmed by a wild urge to eat a handful of dirt from the Kippah of the Jew. This is what I do when I drink. My euphoria amplifies until even the taste of soil in my mouth becomes exhilarating. As I examined the reddish-brown dirt of the snake square in my palm, preparing to devour it, I noticed another early riser, like me, yet utterly unlike me. Before him, I was nothing, a being as if he had shattered the layers of time and emerged from the depths of my earliest childhood. He paid no attention to my presence and, with Amazi pride, diligently gathered the world into a ball of cow dung. I sat cross-legged beside him, polluting the Kippah of the Jew with the smoke of my cigarette. I have not known peaceful sleep from the Lord's sheep ever since I realized that everything has a price. You only take as much as is taken from you. I found myself speaking, not knowing exactly whether I was addressing the dung beetle or the Amazigh Jew. Something was slowly forming in the depths of my being. I did not know its nature, but the pleasure of confessing to an ear of silence overwhelmed me. So I continued, as if shamefully confessing to a Christian priest. In fear of the scattering winds, I sought only to preserve my being intact. So I built myself a bed from clouds, a pillow from my foolishness, and vowed my sinful self to chasing fleeting illusions and mending the wounds of my dark nights. I know with certainty that I will never be a touch of dawn nestled in an embrace. Solitude, without a doubt, is a refuge from the dread of mingling, but its paths are not easy. In one way or another, it turns you into a linden tree in a desolate age. As if my words conjured reality into being, awareness of my solitude struck me. I truly was a linden tree in a desolate age. So be it, I shouted into the Kippah of the Jew. I will remain as chance has chosen me to be, a linden tree with neither flowers nor fruit. The beetle before me remained engrossed in rolling its ball of cow dung, utterly indifferent to my presence. I was certain it was mocking me, belittling me. "Are you still here, you thing?" I sneered at it with the scorn of a drunkard sobering up. Of course, I did not expect an answer from a dung beetle, otherwise I would belong in a mental asylum. But then it halted its work, seemed to make a half leap toward me, and began waving its front legs wildly. I do not understand the language of insects, nor, in truth, even that of humans. Yet for some reason unknown to me, I instinctively translated the beetle's movements into human words, as if reading the lips of the mute. "Get away from me with your smoke, you insolent fool. I have been here since. certainly since before the pharaohs, you ignorant wretch, and I will remain long after you, O spawn of the night's debauchery. Do you even realize, you pretentious fool, in a time far beyond yours, on a land unlike yours, I was worshipped? I was struck by astonishment, dumbfounded. By the Lord, O sacred father of beetles, tell me, how did you do it? Tirelessly, endlessly, shaping it, rolling it through the ages, this ball of dung, between your legs you polished it. I asked in a hushed voice, changing my tone as if fearing that my question would slip away untamed. You dare act clever with me, and with sarcasm no less, you stale eggshell. No matter. What is in you is enough. In truth, I pity you, so out of mercy I shall reveal my secret to you. The sacred beetle shuddered violently as if it had smelled poison. Then it froze, slowly moving one of its legs in a manner I could swear was circular. I immediately understood, effortlessly. Life, you crude creature, is a gift from the Lord, and the Lord is my ball of dung, round in shape, putrid in scent. Each time I finish rolling it with devotion, sculpting its curves in reverence, I consume it in secrecy at my own pace. Then I begin anew, endlessly. I tapped my brass lighter thoughtfully, humming Inas, Inas by the late Mohammed Ruicha. That's what I do when I don't understand. I was foolish enough to wish I had inherited some of the cunning of scoundrels. Your words are blinding, impossible to grasp, O venerable beetle, I whispered, hesitating. Was I speaking to him or to myself? I no longer knew. He moved his other leg in a swift motion, pausing only for an instant before scurrying back to his lord, rolling his ball once more, preparing to consume it. My mind, or perhaps my inner demon, I couldn't tell, struggled to decipher this final motion. It was laden with unmistakable disdain as he uttered, with the arrogance of an ancient lineage, I have spoken enough. I have said all I needed to say. You, O thorn of the desert, are beyond help. Confusion consumed me. Make no mistake, O wise beetle, I murmured, alone in the Kippah of the Jew, hoping the morning silence would grant me some profound revelation. I have never blasphemed against the Lord's blessings, for I have reconciled with the mighty whims of his dominion, and how cruel they are in their tyranny. They behead linden trees like me as swiftly as an executioner. Were it not for the sap within us, longing for the heavens, we would have perished long before the swan shepherds vanished from the earth. Still sitting cross-legged, lost in my own thoughts, I noticed a black cat prowling through the alleyways. And then, from nowhere, a fleeting realization flashed through my mind, a possible interpretation of the beetle's last words. So I made my decision. Tonight, I shall cleanse myself with rose water, anoint myself with its scent. I shall burn incense from the Hejaz and some from the Levant. I shall read a book on the creation of the universe. Perhaps the Lady of Inspiration will guide my hand to compose a poem about God.